Welcome back to Rare Elvis Photos. I hope you enjoyed this photo series. I've talked a lot about Priscilla lately, and I will continue to talk about that every day. And I'll also continue to try to answer your comments as much as I can. And I really hope you enjoy this photo series. It's one of my favorites. So we're going to dive right into it right now. This is a great set of photo series. This is Elvis Presley and the poster child for the March of Dimes. You probably recognize a pretty famous photo series with her, but that's the picture. She had to wait for Elvis for a couple hours. He was doing something and he couldn't get there, and he was a couple hours late to when they had expected him. And but she was perfectly fine with that. She was very happy during the photo series. And then of course you get Elvis here on the set of Love Me Tender. Obviously that's very iconic. Maybe not that photo, but his brown dress suit that he wore during the whole movie, which was pretty dusty most of the time as he's riding horses and getting into fights and all that stuff. And of course Ann-Margret and Elvis Presley right there, who I would say a lot of fans, at least half of the Elvis fans if not more, really wish they would have gotten together and gotten married. Great photo of Elvis Presley with his fans. I believe this is outside of Graceland. Sure looks like it to me. It looks like Tennessee to me. He loved his fans, and he took the time to spend time with his fans. And as he said in one of his interviews, it's no trouble for him. Some people think, oh, it's extra effort. But Elvis said for him it wasn't extra effort. It was no trouble. And it's something that that he expected to do for the fans because the fans put him where he was. And, I think that, Elvis Presley is probably the most humble, but at the same time the most pressured to live up to a certain image and standard of any artist that ever lived. There's Judy Spreckles there in the bottom left, and Milton Berle right there. Of course, these are some of the pictures from the Milton Berle show. But back to the original point I was making, he was very humble about who he was, his talent. He loved to sing. He loved to sing gospel, as we all know, as Elvis fans, that are the older fans that have loved him for 20, 30 years. And for the new Elvis fans, he really did. He loved gospel. He kind of preferred singing gospel. And very often after a show, he would sing gospel, with J.D. Sumner and the boys and Charlie Hodge. Which is a big part of, I think, what he felt like he was giving back to his understanding of God, that he was meant to do something special and great. He was always a little confused on what that was, whether it was to perform, whether it was maybe to preach. I mean, he had a very big spiritual quest, a spiritual journey that he was very confused over. Anyways, it's a great picture right there. And Elvis Presley, I mean, he had the moves. And of course, look at Scotty going, man, that Blue Moon Boy can move. And of course, that's what they were known in the early days, was the Blue Moon Boys. And of course, as they got more famous and more popular, it was really Elvis Presley and the Blue Moon Boys. But that's a great picture right there. Scotty Moore, Elvis Presley. Now this is outside of Graceland. I want to say it's 68 or 69, I believe, when it snowed. Now, interestingly enough, in Tennessee here, now lately it doesn't snow as much, but back in the day, it snowed a little bit more in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. You know how the weather systems kind of move, but it's very rare to get a white Christmas or any sort of snowfall during the wintertime. Over the last half a dozen years, we've gotten more than the first 20 years of me living here. There's the horses at Graceland. Now, I believe this picture of the horses was more recent. There's the Crown Electric Company paycheck. So you can see on July 24th, he got paid for the pay ending 7/21. So they paid per week instead of every 2 weeks, which I think is cool. Now, the company I work for, same thing. They pay every week, which is great. I think all of America should go back to getting a paycheck every single week, 40 hours and then 4 hours of overtime. So he went from working at Crown Electric Company there, as well as delivering, I think he worked for a parts company as well, to going on the road and making money. I think the first year that he was out on the road, full year of touring, before Colonel Parker and all that stuff was done, I think he made $25,000. I've got the tax return somewhere. And I'm gonna do a special at some point in time talking about his tax returns, what he made, what he took home. Um, I'm gonna try to get as much information as I possibly can. Now, this is Elvis Presley. Take a look at one of his gold records. Elvis Presley at one time, I believe, had 10 songs on the top 100 chart. And every song that he had from 1956 to 1958 were number one songs. So obviously, they didn't just disappear after hitting number one. They went back down to 3 and 5, and then another number one song went up and popped up to number one. So I know that there are some artists that are breaking his records and tying his records right now. But, that's over a long span of time when nowadays you can buy your success. I know this because I've got friends in the industry, and I know that, they bought their way in. Actually, investors bought their way in. And, nowadays, all it takes to have a number one record is about $1 million. And if you get $1 million in a good song, it doesn't have to be a number one type of song that's a life-changing song. It just has to be a good enough song with a good enough looking artist. It's about $1 million. And one of the artists that's about to break one of Elvis's records for charted hits, that's pretty much how it happened. Now, she's got plenty of talent. She's got plenty of great work ethic. And she certainly has longevity because of her work ethic and talent. But it wasn't one of those things where it wasn't paid for in the beginning. Well, as always, I really hope you enjoyed this video series. Please like, please subscribe, please hit all notifications, share this video all around, keep coming back every day. I'll try to kind of just keep it fresh and bring some photos, hopefully, and some angles for some ideas that maybe you haven't thought about, or maybe things that you guys are thinking about and want to talk about. And if you can become a member, hit that join button. Till next time, it's Rare Elvis Photos, TCB, TLC.